Hi, everybody. Welcome to Eye on Oshkosh. I'm your host, Cheryl Hentz. Very pleased to be joined tonight by an old friend, and I mean personally and on the show. We've got Cheryl Rosenthal here from the Oshkosh Area Humane Society. Cheryl is I always have to look at your title because it's so long. You are the Communications and Education Coordinator, and you're also a cat consultant.
Yes.
And what we have up on the screen is everything but cat consultant.
Well, that's all right.
We just couldn't fit it in.
That's okay.
But that still falls under education.
That still falls on, everything I do falls under education.
So thanks
One
for
way or
being
the
here
other.
so much.
Thanks for having me.
Joni was going to be with us tonight,
I
our
know.
executive director at the shelter, Joni Geiger, but unfortunately she's not feeling well, so it's just you and I, kiddo.
So I just got to bounce everything off of you and back and forth and do the best we can. You know, usually she and I feed well off of each other. You know, it's kind of like tag team. But
we'll do her justice. We'll make her proud.
I hope so.
We'll make her proud.
So.
You always do a good job. First and foremost that we want to talk about is, I realize this is only the 3rd of August as we're taping this, but you know, it's never too soon in summer to plan for your annual Walk for the Animals.
Yes.
And that's coming up on Saturday, September 16th. So we want to definitely talk about that.
Okay.
Tell folks what is going on that day.
Okay. It is Saturday, September 16th. Registration opens at 8:30. The event usually goes until about noon. It is out at the Sunnyview Expo Center, and the event is rain or shine. It's a pledge walk where we ask people to collect pledges. You can just write a check yourself or ask your friends and family. You can walk as an individual or you can walk as a team. If you walk as a team or an individual, you can compete for prizes. By raising certain dollar amounts, you can get a medal. We find that people really like the medals. It's a lot of fun. We have, once you've done your registration with a $50 pledge, you get a free event t-shirt. And this year, they're going to be really cute.
They're cute every year.
Well, these are going to be extra special.
Can you tell us about them, or is it a secret?
It's going to be a secret.
Okay.
They're going to be different than any of the other Purple Pride Parade t-shirts. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And they're not going to be purple. Maybe I should say that.
Okay.
They're not going to be
Because
purple.
purple is kind of the color for the whole
Purple
day,
is for
you know?
compassion. Purple is the color that our logo has always been. And we just, you know, and what goes better with Pride Parade than purple?
Right.
You know, show your pride by getting out there and walking. People can wear costumes and participate in the costume contest. We offer free portraits, whether you come as a family. Some people bring the family dog. You do not need to have a pet to walk. This is, if you're a pet lover and you just want to support animals at the Oshkosh Area Humane Society, come and walk. Free portrait pictures, they're emailed to you after the event. We have a raffle. We're raffling off a pizza oven, and then we have our huge basket raffle. We always have between 20 and 25 baskets that range in value between $75 and $200. We're going to have the $150 Cabela gift certificate again this year that everybody lines up for. They want that basket. We have a lot of vendors lined up for people to visit. A lot of the, you know, like Pampered Pets is going to be there, Nashville Pets. A lot of the pet suppliers are going to be there showing their wares. We have some other vendors who have fun things, home decor type things, one-of-a-kind things. So kind of bring your money to you know, to support the vendors also.
Sure, yeah.
Hot Dog Charlie is going to be there for food, and Fox Valley Vegan Bake Sale is going to be there with their vegan foods. Have you ever had their bakery?
I have not, no.
Oh, it is sensational. It is.
And it's vegan.
And it's vegan. Everything is vegan.
Which is very important to a lot of animal lovers.
Right. Right,
So.
and they just, it's just, you don't even know it. It's just really delicious. Of course, we're going to have popcorn, and then, of course, you can't have the Walk for the Animals without the walk.
That's right.
Yeah, so we'll have the walk. Our goal, Cheryl, is we want to raise $50,000. Our medical fund runs us between it's over $100,000 now. And last year we raised over $50,000, and we thought we don't want to jump too far, so we left it at, we're going to try to raise $50,000 again this coming year. at our Walk for the Animals. And so it's easy. By using First Giving, you can make your own fundraising page. Makes it really easy if you're not good at fundraising face-to-face, asking people for money. Shoot them an email or send them your First Giving page information, and they can make a donation right online. And
Is that firstgiving.org?
It's firstgiving.com, I believe.
Okay.
If we had one of our little cheat sheets here, we could. I think it's. I'm not sure if it's on there or not.
Well,
but it's
I have a little
all that
cheat sheet.
information.
Let's see.
Maybe I didn't put it on there.
I don't see it on here.
Okay.
No.
Visit our website. On our homepage, we have a cute little icon that shows a person's foot and paw prints. Click on that, it'll take you right to the Walk for the Animals page.
Okay.
And then it'll click you either to First Giving or to the pledge page. If you want to do everything offline, you can print out a pledge page and go around and collect your pledges. Sometimes people will ask me, well, what's the medical fund? And it's important for people to know that 10 out of 10 animals now coming to us require some type of medical care, whether it's a rabies vaccination, treatment for ear mites or fleas, deworming, spaying and neutering. But also then we have some other cases that come to us where this week and last week we've had a couple cats come to us that have had broken legs, so they need to have those legs either set or amputated. We had Whitney, the dog that was rescued from the fire here in Oshkosh, who suffered severe burns, and she ended up at the referral center. So that was a lot of medical fund money used for Whitney. We had a cat come in that was totally blocked. Its urinary tract, it was unable to go to the bathroom. So here we have a wonderful, loving cat who could have a good life in a home. And rather than euthanize, we use our medical fund to do the surgery or to do the treatment that this animal has to have to get it back on track. So it can vary from, varying degrees of what the medical treatment is, but it's expensive. And then, of course, every animal that comes into the shelter, we make sure that they receive a preliminary medical exam. Dogs receive a heartworm test. Cats are feline leukemia tested and FIV tested. They get their distemper vaccinations. They also are treated for heartworm. They get their heartworm medication, distemper vaccinations, and of course, rabies vaccinations, and then treating, for fleas. So,
are they tested for Lyme disease at all?
Because
I know that's becoming a little bit more prominent.
Right. I think they do that if the animal is showing signs of lethargy or stiffness, limping, those types of things. So, so some of those tests are done as needed. Just like with senior cats that we get in. Some shelters, well, nobody's going to adopt a senior pet. Well, every animal at our shelter has value. And if we have an elderly animal that comes in, we understand that nobody wants to take an animal home that may not live very long and have that question in their mind. So we will do blood work on some. Let's say that an elderly cat comes in that's extremely thin. Well, we want to know what's the kidney values on this kitty. What does their blood work look for? We're not going to do that on every single cat that comes in. Like if I brought my 15-year-old cat in who weighs 12 pounds, he looks really robust and healthy. We're not going to do blood work on him. But if we get a cat, an older cat, a senior cat, that looks kind of iffy, we're going to remove that worry from the potential adopter's mind that, well, this is what their blood work looks like. We're not saying that it's not going to change in the future, but we want people to know that when they're adopting an animal, they are as healthy as we can make them before they go out. And we can't make any promises because not everything doesn't show up.
You never know. You never know. So going back to the walk, and then we can talk more about some of this other stuff. But going back to the walk, if people just don't want to collect a pledge at all, whether it's online or in person, they can just make a donation.
They can just make a donation.
And still
if they don't want to make a donation, if they don't want a shirt, if they just want to participate, all they have to do is come, and we ask everybody who participates in the walk to sign a waiver. just as a legality. But if you just want to come and enjoy the day and see all the different dogs that different people bring, or to meet the guys from Nash Radio and WVBO will be there. Chuck Lakefield will be there again being our MC. If you just want to mingle and be with the people, come on ahead. Maybe you want to buy some raffle tickets. Maybe you want to buy some food. Bring the family and have some fun. But if you want a T-shirt or you want to walk for the animals, you can just write out. I know that I'll be honest, I cheated last year. Time got away from me, and I know that I wanted a T-shirt and a sweatshirt, and so I just wrote out the check for Tom and I and turned it into the shelter, and my relatives and friends got off cheap last year.
But you'll be coming to them this year, right?
I will be hitting them up this year.
And so it's registration is at 8 o'clock?
It starts at 8:30.
At 8:30. Okay.
Yep, registration starts at 8:30. The walk itself is at 10:30.
10:30.
That's why we have all these other things going on, the contest, the free photos. Tranquil Tales is going to be there, and they're offering free 10-minute massages for your dog. And I'm in the process of maybe seeing about securing some massages for people, but we haven't quite secured that yet. We're always
we need that too, right?
Yeah, we need that. It's like one person asked me last year. They said, "For my pet," and I went, "Well, yeah, your dog needs to, be relaxed."
This is a day about animals.
Yeah, it's a day for the animals.
Yep,
it really
is.
So,
and we should tell folks where it is. For people watching this on television, if we could, there we have it up on the screen now. But for people who are listening to us on the radio, this is going to be at the fairgrounds, which most people know it as the fairgrounds.
Right.
But it's Sunnyview Expo Center, which is 500 East County Road Y here in Oshkosh. And I mean, you can go down Jackson Street and when you start getting close, there are signs that show you where to go.
Right.
You guys are real good about signage and directing people.
Right. We'll have Walk for the Animals signs all over and helping people, find their way.
There's usually something else always going on at the Expo Center. I think last year it was a gem and mineral show. I'm not sure. But so the easy way to decipher which way to go, when you pull in the main lot, it's off to the left.
Correct.
Other stuff, whatever it might be that's going
there
on,
may
is
be
usually
a
off
horse
to the
show
right.
or
Yep.
right. And right now, as far as we know, there is nothing going on.
That'll be a switch because I haven't
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
any
And-
years, I don't think, where
Right,
there hasn't
and
been something there.
we've reserved the entire expo building, that if it rains, the walk goes on rain or shine. But if it's thundering and lightning, we can't really walk, so we have the ability to move our vendors inside.
Okay.
But we're hoping for wonderful weather. Everybody loves it when it's outside, and we're also we're planning on having a dunk tank also.
Oh, okay.
So
Who's going to be sitting on the hot
I'm
seat?
not at liberty to tell.
Okay. Another surprise.
Another surprise.
All these surprises. This is even more
if
reason
you
for
want to
people
know,
to
you
go.
have to come.
That's right. That's
you
right.
know,
Will
curiosity.
it be a mixture of people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
yes.
right.
It'll be a mixture of people.
Well, I
And-
can
and
confirm
part
that
of
I'm not one of them.
Oh, okay. And part of
But
that
I am
is,
a vendor, so that's
we've
where I'll be.
asked a variety of people, and we haven't gotten all of our confirmations yet. So I don't want to single anybody out, because anybody who agrees to be in the dunk tank is a pretty special supporter, because I don't want to be dunked. Especially in September, you never know what the weather's going to be.
Well, that's true.
It could be cold, it could be warm. We
Yeah.
just never know.
Well, here we are on August 3rd, and it's kind of chilly out
Yeah,
today.
it's kinda chilly
and
out
rainy. So it's
Wisconsin
been a weird
weather-
summer all the way around.
Yeah, wait 5 minutes. Wisconsin weather, it'll change.
Yep.
So
We'll touch on this again,
Right.
hopefully before we close. But
but just a reminder to tell people, if you're on Facebook, check out our Facebook page. Jen will be doing a lot of information on our Facebook page regarding the Walk for the Animals. We're going to highlight some of our sponsors and highlighting some of the basket things that we're going to have there, helping people how they can raise more pledges. Simple things like ask 3 people at church. Ask your babysitter, ask your next door neighbor, ask your best friend. Sometimes people think, oh, I never thought of that. Ask coworkers. And sometimes working as a team, having a friendly competition with a friend or several friends is a great way to do that. So,
Sure.
so we want to help people. We want to make it easy because we understand it's not easy to ask people for money.
It's not, even with close friends or family members. It's it's still tough to ask.
Yeah.
So, now last year you guys had kind of a match challenge going on. Is there anything like that this year? Last year I think it was a friend of Joni's perhaps who said, you know what, if you raise X amount.
In February. Are you thinking of the
I thought it was for the walk.
Giving from the Heart?
No, I thought it was for the walk.
Okay.
But,
well, for the walk, if your company offers matching gifts, there are several people where their company will match a gift. So if you're making a donation to the Oshkosh Area Humane Society, ask your employer, do you do matching gifts? And some of them will match dollar for dollar. Some companies match above dollar for dollar. So it's really nice to investigate that. And let's say that I'm employed by a company that does matching gifts. There's oftentimes paperwork that has to be submitted either to the company or directly to the shelter. And again, your human resource person at your company should be able to tell you if they have a matching gift campaign program and how they go about utilizing it.
Okay, all right, sure, good.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because that really does make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other special events that you guys have coming up? Now, I know I'm going to mention this one, and I don't know that we should dwell on it a whole lot because this show won't start airing on the radio until after your event, and it's usually uploaded to YouTube the night that we tape.
Okay.
But it doesn't start airing on local television until next week. Again, your event would be over. But you've got a puppy cuddle coming up this Saturday, the 5th, correct?
Yes.
Tell us what that really is.
Okay. We have some puppies that need socialization, and we thought what better way to get them socialized is to invite people to come in and socialize the puppies. And I have to be honest, Cheryl, that when we posted it on Facebook, it was overwhelming, the response that we got.
I bet.
And you have to understand, in an hour and a half, you've been in our education room. How many people can we get in there, with ease to visit with these puppies? And so I think it was posted on our Facebook page that there will be a limited number of people that will be admitted at a time, and they will only have a limited amount of time with the puppies so that other people can come in. And I mean, we had, I think if I remember correctly, it was like 500 people said they were coming. Well, there's no way that we could filter through 500 people in our education room for the puppies. And I think we only have, I can't remember if it's 6 or 9 puppies. And that's kind of overwhelming to the puppies also.
Oh, of course.
So
yeah.
it's kind of like, and we're hoping that people will have the attitude of looking at it as it's not what a puppy can do for you, but what you can do for this puppy. So we want these puppies to have really positive interactions with people, not, well, I get the puppy now. That would not be a
we
real...
don't need a puppy tug of war going on.
puppy, not a puppy tuggle.
Puppy tuggle, yeah.
A puppy cuddle.
So this is your first time.
This is our first time. I'll tell you what started it. Is not too many months ago we had several rabbits. I think we had like between 7 and 12 rabbits, and our rabbits weren't moving. And we had just friendly, cuddly, nice, people-friendly bunnies. And Rachel, our volunteer coordinator, and I stuck our heads together and we said, well, what if on a Friday afternoon, I'll make sure that I don't have any appointments if you can spare the time. And we set up X pens and we put the bunnies, as many as we could, in our education room, and we just quickly posted it on Facebook that on Friday between, I don't even remember the time that we did it, maybe it was from noon until 3 or something like that, meet a bunny. learn about rabbits. And we didn't have an overwhelming response, but the people that did come were really interested in learning more about the rabbits, and they thought it was very interesting that, you know, we had blankets on the floor, and rabbits being a prey animal, they don't like to be picked up. And so we taught people about, you know, if you want to make friends with a bunny, the best way to do it is to sit down on the floor. And then the bunny's going to come over and they're going to sniff you and they're going to let you pet them. And just to see, and people were amazed at how some of the bunnies, when bunnies get out of their cage, we don't recommend keeping them in cages, we keep them in X pens. When they have room to run, if you've ever seen rabbits, wild rabbits playing outside, how they hop around really quick and then they kick their feet up in the air, like they're happy, and we call those binkies. And people that were in the education room and would see some of these rabbits running around and doing their binkies, they were like, well, I didn't know that rabbits played. And then we had one rabbit, they would pick up wood chip, like baby rattles, they like toys, and they're shaking them around. And we just thought, well, if this was a good experience, getting people to come in and see the rabbits, maybe we can utilize this a little bit more. And people, who doesn't want to pet a puppy?
Well, exactly. And you
know.
say it's for the puppies, and that's true. That's what it's for.
Right.
But I would be willing to bet that you will be lowering a lot of people's blood pressure that day, because it is a proven fact.
And so we're
animals
also
do
hoping that
do
those that may, if we do have, you know, a long line of people, and we're trying to come up with things that we can kind of pacify people as they're waiting. But if people do get turned away, we hope that they won't have hard feelings toward the shelter. It isn't that we would love to have everybody be able to touch a puppy, but not at the expense of the puppies, because they're going to get tired.
Sure.
So,
and where did these puppies come from? Was it a litter that
we transferred in? We had a mama come in with 9 puppies, and she had just given birth, and so she was put into a foster home. And as wonderful as foster homes are, it's nice to have more people. You know, you can only invite so many neighbor kids and your family and friends come in. And,
because they need socialization.
Right. And so we thought this might be a neat way. The puppies that are at the puppy cuddle, they're not available for adoption yet. They're too young to go home. And so we're not going to be taking any applications or anything like that. It's literally just to come and meet the puppies. Where the rabbit, the rabbit event that Rachel and I did, people could apply for those rabbits. And we did have somebody come in and apply for 2 of the rabbits.
Sure.
Or it just plants a seed that when somebody says, oh, I'm thinking of adopting a rabbit, or I'm thinking of adopting a guinea pig, or a rat, or a mouse, or a hamster, I just think that's a great reminder that, oh, I think the Oshkosh Area Humane Society has small mammals. We may not always have them all of the time, but check with us first, because oftentimes we'll get in a guinea pig or a pair of guinea pigs that maybe the child has outgrown, or maybe they find out that the child now has allergies, and so they're usually very well socialized and would make a wonderful family pet.
Sure.
And so why not come in and get a ready-made pet? And then, of course, we have a lot of information. And there's no adoption fee for our small mammals. It's name your own price. So can't beat that.
No, you really can't.
No, you can't.
Do you have like a minimum though?
No.
Really? Just
name
whatever?
your own price.
Okay.
Name your own price.
Very good.
And, you know, and I don't think anybody has ever said, well, I'm not giving you anything.
Right.
You know, I would be surprised by that.
Yeah. No, I would be too. So we're talking about the puppy cuddle now, which is, by the time this actually airs, either on radio or television, it will be over. But for those of you watching on YouTube, it is coming up in a couple days. But it sounds like you've got a cap on the people already. So just know that it's going on, and that puppies will be coming up for adoption probably in another month or 2.
Right, right.
Okay. What kind of puppies? What's the breed?
I have no idea. They are a mix.
Okay.
2 puppies that I've seen are black and white.
Okay.
Mama is brown, and they have her listed as a mixed breed. Her name is Honey Bear.
Okay.
And did we talk about that at on your last show about mixed breeds? That we don't label dogs anymore if we don't know, unless they come in with papers, we don't know what they are. And that's something that Wisconsin Humane started doing because, you know, you put a label on a dog, and let's say that you and I are at the Humane Society and you look at a dog and you go, wow, I think that looks like a German Shepherd. And I look at that dog and I go, well, I don't know, I think it looks more like a Lab Husky mix. And unless we do a DNA test, Cheryl, we really don't know what breed that dog is.
No, that's true, you don't.
And so by us labeling that dog, we're kind of lying to the people. And we decided that Wisconsin Humane must have been onto something. And we thought, you know what, we're going to try it because sometimes people will come in and say, oh, I can't have a German Shepherd. My landlord won't allow it. Or, you know, but we're guessing that that's a German Shepherd. So we have started dogs, unless they come in with their papers, they're a mixed breed. And Joni and I were talking about one particular dog at our shelter this morning, and she was talking about this dog and saying what she thought he was, and I picked a totally different breed. And when I did that, she looked at me and she went, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
She said, you're right.
Well, there's so many
The
breeds
markings
out
or the ears or, you know, so it's unfair to the dog to put a label on them. What we're more concerned with is not what breed of dog they are, what's their personality, what's their temperament, what are they like with people, what are they like with other dogs, and you know, anybody can fall in love with a pretty face, but I like personalities better.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, you know, let's talk about breeds for a little bit because I've got a couple pet peeves.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now.
No, it has nothing to do with the shelter. It's, you know, you talk about mixed breeds. Now you've got these puggles and you've got golden doodles and all this kind of stuff. And these breeders are getting humongous amounts of money for these designer breeds. It's a mixed breed. I don't care what label you put on it. You talk about labels. This just drives me crazy. It's a mixed breed dog.
Yeah,
I don't care how you look at it.
It's buyer beware.
Yeah, and you know,
You got your schnoodles and your, you know.
It's no different than what we used to call a Heinz 57
or a mutt.
or a mutt. You know,
And there's nothing wrong with a mutt. I have.
They are the best dogs.
I have 3 mutts, and
we have 2, and then we've got a purebred, and love them all the same. And they each have their own little idiosyncrasies and their own little personalities. Some good things, some not so good things. But you know, you take them as you find them.
And truth be told, when I started 20 plus years ago in the sheltering business with Joni, I go back and I look at some of those pictures, and we saw a lot of purebred dogs in our shelter. 30% of our dogs were purebreds. And we're not seeing that anymore because everybody's kind of jumping on that wagon of let's make a new mixed breed. You know, what's a new designer dog that we can come up with? And I used to tease. Now, I know you knew my dog Gus.
Oh, yeah.
And Gus was a Saluki and Shepherd. We knew the father and we knew the mother, and so he was a Saluki, which is part of the hound group, and a German Shepherd. So I always told people, well, he's a Shepluki. So I had my very own designer breed. So it can be frustrating when people focus on the breed of the animal.
Well,
and there are people who like, you know, there are certain people that I have a Lab mix, and I love him to death because he loves to play fetch, and I love some of the things about the Lab breed that they're just so playful, and they're kind of, I call him my Labadabadoo because he's just very easygoing, pleasant dog to be around. So there are certain traits in certain breeds. But as far as, you know, having to have a particular breed, I think that's really up to the individual. And sometimes people are choosing that because my first dog that I grew up with was a German Shepherd. And I will always have a very soft spot in my heart for purebred German Shepherds. And I've never had one myself, except from when I was growing up with my
Sure.
family. But I just think they're a really special dog. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a purebred dog, but I agree, it's difficult when you see all these designer dogs and how they're kind of being, in my book, exploited.
Very much so. And am I wrong on this? But I heard somewhere that, like, some of these designer breeds are even being allowed into, you know, your finer, more renowned dog show competitions.
Could be.
And I mean, that just flies in the face of what dog shows
but
really
you know,
are
if
all
you
about.
But if you go back into the history of dogs, like, and I'm not an expert on this by any means, look at the flat-coated retriever and the golden retriever. Those two dogs are the result of the breeding of two other kinds of dogs.
Right.
But then
Right.
it was, you know, done long enough that it became a regular breed. Just like, and during the same time when the golden retriever was becoming popular, there was also the flat-coated retriever. Well, the flat-coated retriever didn't catch on as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't as pretty a face as the golden retriever. Now, there's still flat-coated retrievers, but the flat-coated retriever itself is a mix of several breeds of dogs through generation.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's where the dog show people are coming from, is that these
could be.
Labradoodles and the golden doodles, that they've been so welcomed that they are going to be accepted as a breed.
But it just drives that price up when you're trying to rescue a dog.
Right.
And it gives people
Well,
the license to
Yeah.
sell
and
these
I
dogs
think
for a
what's
lot
so
more than.
sad is that at the Oshkosh Area Humane Society, I have seen several puggles. I have seen Labradoodles and golden doodles. I have seen schnoodles. And, you know, so we see those designer dogs coming into the shelter. So being a purebred or being a designer dog does not guarantee that you're not going to end up in a shelter setting.
Right.
And so here again, it's getting that animal. Why are you getting that pet? Are you getting it
Yeah.
for the right reasons?
Yeah. And the other thing that drives me crazy is, and I know a lot of people do it, I've done it myself from time to time, is you refer to a certain breed as a pit bull. There really is no such
No such thing as a pit bull.
a pit bull.
You can do all the DNA testing in the world, and it will never come up pit bull. It can be an American Staffordshire Terrier. It could be a bulldog. It could be an English bulldog. There's any variety of dogs. Sometimes people, even boxers and mastiffs, are included in the bully breeds. And pit bull it's just a misnomer. There is no such thing as. And, you know, there is a breed out there, you can Google it, and it will come up, American Pit Bull. And it's like, to me, that's really not a breed. And that was one of the things, Cheryl, why we went to not being breed specific. Because people come in, recently we had a dog, her name was Sally. I just love Sally. And Sally had pointed little ears, and everybody who looked at Sally saw pit bull. And Sally had a large body. She was kind of rotund, roly-poly, black and white. But she did not have, to me, she did not have a big blocky head like you see an Amstaff have, an American Staffordshire Terrier have. And then she had these cute little ears that just tipped over. And every time somebody said that to me, I just got really irritated. So I understand where you're coming from, because it's like, I really wanted to do a DNA test on her, because to me she looked more bulldog. And I'll never know. Sally was adopted, and hopefully she, you know, well, if we sent her home, she must have gone to a good home. But people get that in their head. And there's even something, again, on the internet where there is a picture where they have all these dogs that they say these are pit bulls. And then they ask people to pick out who's really the pit bull. And they're really...
There's no such thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. But I guess I hadn't heard that you guys are doing this, but I like the idea of not
Label.
labeling it with a breed.
We don't want to lie to you.
Well, and not just that, but you look at the cities in which, so many cities across the country, excuse me, are, forbidding certain breeds from being in their communities, or apartment complexes that are prohibiting certain breeds from being
Right.
in their communities. Insurance companies that
Right.
will not
Right.
insure people
And
with their homeowners policy
and
or
this
renter's
is again,
policy.
I think people have to start standing up because vicious, to have a breed-specific legislation, that well, I think that looks like a pit bull, so I'm gonna pull that dog, or it's a German Shepherd and they're vicious. That's a pretty blanket statement.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for me personally, because I can't speak for the shelter, but we also don't feel that a breed-specific law would be beneficial. It's more beneficial to have a vicious dog or dangerous dog legislation because any dog can be a threat.
Exactly.
So more dangerous dog laws than vicious, than, focusing in on specific breeds. And of course, I always tease that, if we killed off all the German Shepherds and we killed off all the Dobermans and all the Rottweilers, pretty soon the fighting dog would be known as the standard poodle.
Yeah, I was just thinking poodle. Yeah.
So because any dog can be taught to be vicious. And going back to talking more about mixed breed, it also goes when we get these little tiny dogs in and we'll look at them and one's got long hair and one, well, is that a long-haired Chihuahua or is that a Papillon mix or is that, what is it? And so we don't know. So we just say it's a small mixed breed. And then it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. It's kind of like the dog I was talking to about with Joni.
Yeah.
Everybody sees different things. I'm sure that there are some dogs that you may see because you're so familiar with Dalmatians.
And retrievers and
retrievers. So you see those traits. And a dog that I may say, oh, that looks like a German Shepherd to me, you may see some of those other traits and features, physical features that you see in your Dalmatian, in your retriever, and your lab. So it's just unfair to slap a label on a dog because you don't know. And we did do, this was several years ago, we did do some DNA testing.
We talked about that, and you showed that on the last show that you guys were on, and that was fascinating.
Yeah, so that really is important.
And and we thought about doing DNA testing on our own dogs, just because we're curious. I mean, the one we know what she is,
right?
But the other two, we have an idea, but we'd really like to see that all the various breeds that are in there.
Right. And sometimes you just like to have your your suspicions confirmed.
Right. But it wouldn't change how we felt about them.
No.
We certainly wouldn't give them up because, oh, well, they're not what I thought they were.
Right.
It would just be helpful, I think, in some cases to know what breed you're dealing with, because certain breeds have certain things that
Personalities,
are
certain traits.
Well, and health things
Health
that
issues,
can be
exactly,
hereditary.
exactly.
So
Those
that
things
would
are
be
important.
a good reason to do it. But that would be the only reason.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Just got to love them the way they are.
That's
Here again,
exactly right.
personality and
Yeah.
what they are.
You were talking before about foster homes, and do you guys have a need for foster homes right now?
Yes, we always have a need for foster homes. Right now we have, and I wrote down the numbers before I came, right now we have 221 cats in our building, and we have 70 kittens in foster.
Okay.
And I can tell you yesterday we took in 5 more kittens, and today we took in more kittens.
Oh, jeez.
So we are always looking for foster homes. And of course, also for dogs, when we are getting new dogs in, sometimes we do more foster homes for cats than we do dogs. I'm not going to lie and say it's equal. But
Well, you've got more to deal with,
right,
first of all.
right. We see 4 times as many cats as we do dogs. But dogs seem to, their stay at the shelter is shorter, or so it seems to be for some dogs. It seems to be. And so we are always looking for foster homes, whether it be for cats or dogs. The criteria is, if you're doing cats, we like you to have a separate room to keep the cat separate from your personal cats. And that's for health reasons and for stress reasons.
Sure.
Just makes it easier. So.
Okay, and what kind of screening criteria do you use for people who want to foster?
The best, all they have to do, if they're interested in fostering and want to know more about it, all they need to do is call or email Rachel, who is our volunteer coordinator. Well, she'll do the cats, and then she'll filter out those people. If they want to do dogs, she'll refer them to Carrie.
Sure.
And a lot of times it's just kind of like a little mini interview, and then they do a sit down of, what's expected. And our staff is really good about trying to match the foster family with the animal that needs fostering. Let's say, for example, they call me up and they say, well, would you like to foster a mom and kittens? And I'm like, I really don't have the expertise to do that, or a cat that's going to need medication. I've never pilled a cat before. Well, that would be right up my alley, because I've had several cats that have had illnesses. I'm okay giving medication. So we try to match that foster animal with a foster family who's comfortable giving the care to that animal, because you want everybody to be comfortable.
Sure,
in
course.
that situation.
Yep.
And length of time can vary a lot. So if you have a nursing mom and kittens, sometimes we utilize more than one foster home. Maybe you can take the mom and kittens the first couple weeks, then somebody else can step in, so that there is wiggle room there.
Sure.
So like I said, we just try to make that good fit.
Sure, of
So-
course. And so Rachel is the
Volunteer
foster.
volunteer coordinator,
Yes.
and she's also the foster care coordinator for cats.
Okay. And so that would be Rachel at oahs.org.
Yep.
We're not going to put it up on the screen. And for those people listening on radio, it's just Rachel, RACHEL.
Right.
Rachel at
OA.
oahs.org.
Right. Everybody at the shelter, if you know their first name, it's just their first name and then at oahs.org.
Yep.
So
That makes it
that's-
easy.
right.
That
makes it
makes it
really
real
easy. Makes it
simple.
easy for me to remember too.
Of
So,
course, of course.
Yeah.
So any other special events coming up that we need to tell folks about besides the walk?
Well, the rally for the rescue, that will be over, just like
Yep.
the cuddle.
Yep.
Cuddle. So right now, all we have right now is the
Walk for the
walk
animals.
for the animals.
But that's
so,
huge because Cheryl, that's
right. That is our major fundraiser.
Yeah, that is where you get the biggest bulk of your money,
right.
right?
Right, it is, and I think it's important that people know that we cannot provide the services that we do in the community without the support of our community. And our budget, I talked about the medical, but our medical is over $100,000, but our annual budget now is over $1 million. So,
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So
And
it takes
I
a
think we
lot of
should-
fundraising.
Yes, and I think we should remind people how little of that you get from the city, because you do have a contract with the city to pick up strays
around,
and that kind of thing.
I think it's under 10%.
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
sliver.
it caps out at about $90,000.
Yeah.
So, and that is a contract, a working contract that we have with the city to pick up stray animals, and that's literally what that is for.
Yep.
So,
Okay, excellent. Let me see what else is on my list here. Oh, I know. You guys have a new tagline, and I want to address this. It's called Different on Purpose.
different on purpose.
How long have you been using this tagline, and how did you come about using it?
Well, one of the things that we started noticing is that every animal shelter, humane society, they're different. No two are alike. And they have different policies, different protocols, different philosophies. And we're seeing a trend, and of course, Joni being our leader, she is always reading about what other shelters are doing and keeping up with that. And there are some shelters that are headed in the direction of the focus is switching to length of stay, how long an animal is with you. And we started looking at what we do at our shelter. And at our shelter, every animal is important. Every animal has value. Every animal is given the opportunity to find a loving home. And so when we get a cat in with a litter box issue, we're going to take time to see what's causing that. If we get an animal in that, let's say that they have some behavioral issues, we're going to see, can we solve those things? So, or an animal that's being really anxious and having trouble settling in. We're going to work with that. And so in these cases, Cheryl, it might mean that that animal is at our shelter for a longer length of time. And we're okay with that because our goal is to give every animal that particular chance.
Sure.
And give them that opportunity. And so there are things that our shelter does that really do make us different from other shelters, and we're not doing it, and we're doing it on purpose. So we are different on purpose. When people come in to adopt from us, it's not first come, first serve. We're all about matchmaking. Is it a good fit for your family? Is it a good fit for the animal? And so we spend a lot of time with our potential adopters, and sometimes we have to kind of nudge people in a different direction. You know, I fell in love with this pretty face, and you're telling me this one over here is a better choice. But we work with those people and try to help them see, you know, we want this to be forever successful.
Right, right.
And so we're about the matchmaking, and then our adoption sessions. When you adopt from us, there's no adoption fees for cats or kittens. There are adoption fees for dogs. I told you no adoption fees for small mammals. But for all of our animals, we ask our adopters to give us the gift of their time to allow us to give them some tips and techniques of introducing that animal into their family so that they and the animal can be as successful as possible. And so that's another way that we're different on purpose. We want to make sure that when you leave our facility with your new pet, you have the tools to be successful and that that animal isn't going to be coming back to us. Does it always work? Sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. But at least we know that we've given that person, rather than saying, oh, well, here you go, bye,
Good luck.
see ya, yeah, good luck. We don't want to do that. It's all about making it a successful match. You know, we could do it the other way. We could focus on the animals that are the cream of the crop, and we get some of those in, and they're not very long. They're kind of what we call fast-tracked, where they're on the floor and they're gone. But we think it's important to pay attention to the elderly and to the animals that have a behavioral issue, or the animal that has a condition that's treatable, you know, maybe a medical illness that's perfectly treatable. We feel that it's our obligation to do that.
Right, and you know, and that's why, you know, I think it's important that people understand that you are a tremendous resource there. Not you, well, you, yes, but the shelter, the whole shelter.
If we added up all the expertise of our staff in that building, it's mind-boggling.
Yes.
The experience and the education that our staff
has had. I'm going to give you an example now. We have one of the rescues that I volunteer with got a dog in, and she's in a foster home, and she had come from a puppy mill situation, and she just could not get housebroken. Well, a lot of people, now had she been adopted out and someone had this dog that they couldn't housebreak, they would have brought that dog right back. They would have said, can't do anything with this dog. But you have to look further at things. We, our foster family, and we took it to a vet. Turns out the poor dog had a urinary tract infection.
Yes.
Got on medication, and within a week or two, things were improving.
Right.
And she's now gone a week and a half or so without having a single accident in the house. So it's not always just a case of, I can't do anything with this damn animal. You
Right,
can have it
right.
back.
It's so
People
important.
have to figure things
Right.
out.
It's so
and work
important with behavior modification. That's why the preliminary medical exam is so important that we do at the shelter. Because if a cat or a dog is showing signs of not being house trained or litter box trained, having accidents all over the house, the first thing people need to do is have it checked out as a medical concern. Because I don't care if you have a cat who's not using its litter box and you have 20 litter boxes, but the cat has a urinary tract infection, it's not going to use the box. It's associating the pain of the urinary tract infection with the litter box.
Yeah.
And so all the behavior modification, I don't care if you put 100 boxes down, the cat probably still won't use this litter box. So you have to rule that out. And that's why we are such a wonderful resource, that when we get these animals in, we use all the resources that we have at our disposal to try to help these animals. Recently, Cheryl, I'm going to bring up, maybe somebody saw on our website or on our Facebook page, we put out a plea for a little dog that was brought to us who has severe separation anxiety. And nobody thought that this could be worked with. And Carrie and myself and Joni and Cole, our operations manager, we put our heads together and we said, let's see if we can get some experts to give us a hand with this, and let's see what do you do medically, what can you do behaviorally, how do you work through this. But then the other important key factor in this was, how do we find a home for this animal who cannot be left alone? And we did it. We found a home, and we found experts that were willing to help us, and it's a matter of networking, and that's the kind of stuff that our staff pulls together to try to do for every single animal. We have a program called, it's a volunteer program, it's called the Shy Cat, what are they called? Shy Cat Volunteers. I apologize, I can't think of the name.
That's
it's so
right.
new. And they work with cats, cats that have been in an elderly person's home, and then that elderly person has to go to another living facility, and they have to...
Or they've passed away.
Or they've passed away. And that cat comes to the shelter. Think of the shock to that animal. So we have special volunteers who work with these shy, under-socialized cats. And we have had 3 of them go home recently. We've had an 18-year-old cat go home. Tomorrow we have a 12 and a 14-year-old cat going home. We had another cat, I don't think she was very old. Her name was Wednesday. She was very shy. We had a volunteer that came and worked with her and worked with her and worked with her. And it was amazing to see Wednesday go from hiding in her box in her condo to sitting on top of the post in her condo, and then finally moving to a home. So, and she wasn't a very old cat, but she was part of the Shy Cat program. So those are the things that the Oshkosh Area Humane Society is doing. Those are things that make us different on purpose. Our Live to Play program, where we take the dogs out into the park and they're allowed to play and roughhouse with each other. We have a program for the dogs called Stress Busters, where we have certain volunteers that are working with dogs that are under a lot of stress. So there's a lot of different little things that we're doing for the animals and for our adopters that truly do make us different. And we're doing these things and we're doing it on purpose, because we feel this is our mission. And with Joni at the helm, that we try to stay really, really close to our mission. And we're there for the animals. But we're not just there for the animals. We're also there for our adopters and for the people in our community when, like you said it yourself, we are a great resource.
Well, and I think it's really important that people understand that, because sometimes people, they're just beside themselves. They can't figure something out. They may want to surrender their animal. Well, yes, you'll accept surrendered animals, but you guys would much rather, and I think people in general would probably much rather figure out, because nobody really wants to give up. I would bet nobody really.
Right.
There's probably a few,
Well,
but most people really don't want to have to give up a
Right.
beloved family pet.
Right.
It is a member of
Right.
the family.
And sometimes,
so you guys can help them with that.
And so medically, and sometimes for behavioral information, sometimes it does come down to a cost. And I think it's unrealistic for people to think that we can fix every animal. I just got through saying our budget is over $1 million. We have limits also. And so for some of these issues that people are having, I think as a community or as a pet owner, people also have to think of some of these this behavioral information or whatever. It comes at a price. You have to be willing to make an investment in your pet.
Sure.
And that's what we're doing. Once they're in our care, we're going to make that investment in them and do the very best that we possibly can for that animal. And again, turn around and give those tools to the person who's going to be taking that animal home.
I know we wanted to talk about a few other things, and unfortunately we don't have time to cover those, but I want to talk a little bit about, like most nonprofits, and you guys need volunteers. You've got probably a need for more volunteers than many nonprofits do. So what is the process for becoming a volunteer? Do you have to be, you're 16 years of age, you have to be, right?
Well, you can, you can volunteer as a family. We have a family volunteer program.
Okay.
If your child is 12, they can volunteer with a parent.
Okay.
It has to be a parent. It can't be a guardian or the babysitter.
Okay.
It has to be a parent.
Okay.
Both the parent and the child, and this is true for anybody who wants to be a volunteer, whether you're 16 years of age or older, you would attend a volunteer orientation. That is the first step. At orientation, you're going to learn the basics of volunteering, and then at that orientation, you're going to sign up whether you want to do cats, dogs, or small mammals. And we always ask people to pick one. You can't do them all at once. Pick your favorite, get comfortable in that, and then after you've put in 40 hours of volunteer time, then if you want to do cats or you want to do small mammals, then you go to the volunteer coordinator and say, I'm ready to cross-train. Once you've done the orientation, then you sign up, let's say you sign up for dogs. Dogs, you're going to have a hands-on training. You're going to have classroom training. They're going to talk about how to approach a shy dog and things before you are actually handling the dogs. Then you're going to do that same Saturday morning, you're going to do some hands-on with other volunteers, with seasoned volunteers that are going to actually walk you through the paces. And then once you've gone through the classroom and the hands-on, then you're available. You can come and volunteer during our open hours or whatever times, dog or cat volunteers or small mammals. We really could use some small mammal volunteers.
Sure.
To socialize the bunnies. So volunteers are always needed. We also need people to help transport animals to veterinarian appointments, help with laundry, maybe do some runs. We go through our donations, what we can't use.
All kinds of things.
Yeah, they can do a lot of different things.
Okay, they're telling me we're out of time, so thanks very much for being here.
Thank
Good
you
luck
for
for the
having me.
walk,
Yeah.
and we will see you next time. Thanks to you, thanks to Joni, even though she's not here, thanks to the crew, and thanks to the viewers at home and listeners on the radio. We'll see you next time. Until then, take good care. Keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.